All right, welcome back to Mornings on Main Street. Let's get right to what the big story happened this weekend, the tornado that came through Tennessee and Kentucky Friday and Saturday. Let's bring in Jason Carmon. Jason, I know you're there somewhere, buddy. Good morning to you, Jason.
Let me get up and running here. Sorry,
That's all right. Take your time.
See.
I appreciate you doing this after the weekend you went through, man. So
Absolutely,
you take your time
absolutely. I'm really glad to hold on one moment.
Jason's family, and Jason's from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I can only imagine what that was like Saturday morning watching the news. And, real quick shout out to all the TV meteorologists at all the stations. I give them a hard time. I give TV stations a hard time, but the meteorologists stayed, some 12, 14 hours Friday, Saturday to make sure we were safe. So shout out to every one of them at Channel 245 and Fox 17 did a fantastic job for helping us out and keeping people safe as much as they could with the tornado that came through on Saturday morning. I say Friday night. It went to Friday night and came through Saturday morning. Jason, you all right? We hear you, buddy.
Oh, yeah. I'm here. I've just got a camera placement issue here that I'll be more than glad to resolve for us.
That's all right, then. Hey, as we get you ready to come on here, we're going to put up some of the pictures that you sent me, all right?
Absolutely. All right. I think I'm ready to roll here.
There you go. All right. So that's one. Is this the deck at your whose deck is this?
Yeah, that is my best friend's house. That's his back deck right there that we're looking at. He lives over in what's known as the Covington area, which is right off Briarwood. It's kind of the not far from Western Kentucky University. Anyways, that is the area that probably got hit the hardest. This stretch of area has got tremendous tree coverage. You've got a lot of neighborhoods with 100-year-old, 200-year-old trees that are 100 feet tall everywhere, all over the place. It's much like Green Hills in Nashville as far as like the age of the neighborhoods and the destruction. So when these trees came down, they did extensive damage.
So let me ask you, let me back up. When you went up there Saturday morning and you're driving through a neighborhood you know well, I can only imagine the emotions you went through to see this destruction.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, Joe. I live here in Nashville, been here for 17 years, and I live in East Nashville, so I was here to witness the destruction here, and it was bad. It was very, very bad. And what I'm about to say, I don't want to make it sound as if to make light of or less of what we went through here in Nashville, but the scope of the destruction in Bowling Green is on a much wider scale. I hit multiple neighborhoods. Also, I think that right there is my friend's roof, my best friend's roof, or what used to be left of it. The biggest deal of Bowling Green is two things. It hit a corridor that would be equivalent of it. Imagine a massive tornado going down West End or Gallatin Road or Charlotte Pike. Tons of commercial businesses, a lot of residential areas next to it. So it really, the hardest stretch it hit was known as 31W, which is actually the old I-65 that runs right through Bowling Green. It's a 4-lane road. It's heavily commercial, filled with tons of small businesses. So seeing that, like I said, I've seen some destruction, obviously living here in East Nashville. I definitely saw some intense damage that was very traumatizing, but what was going on up there was definitely on a scale. It almost felt like it was twice as much. It hit a ton more residential areas and a lot of homes, way more total loss of homes going on up there. In that area where the first pictures we looked at, where my friend lives, that is a heavily residential area. It's also a really expensive area. It's a very in-demand area, part of Bowling Green. So you're seeing a lot of homes that are, they're people's dream homes that they want to live in their whole lives, and they're rubble now, are uninhabitable. But it was definitely a traumatic scene, and just the scope of the destruction. I think it speaks a lot to the fact that this storm went 230 miles nonstop without breaking up. That to me, I'm no meteorologist, but that to me sounds like a system that has multiple tornadoes involved. I don't think it was just one tornado, because that was the way it was able to maintain that distance of destruction for states. So this thing was huge. They're calling it F3. I'm not a meteorologist or a storm expert, but it was pretty close to an F4, some of the damage you're seeing here. Again, this picture right here is across the street from my best friend's house. You can see the brick in the top of that building is gone. I mean, it just got blown out by the magnitude of this damage. But again, they're really they're in a tough spot right now. You've got a lot of people, a tremendous amount of damage, and of course, my biggest concern right now up there is you got tons of people without electricity, and that are going to be they will be lucky to have electricity by Christmas at this point, because you've got stretches where you're going to have to, it's not like the power company just comes and reattaches your cord to the pole. They're going to have to build all new poles in a couple mile stretches.
I mean, that could take forever. That could take months.
Exactly. Exactly. And what's even worse is, last 2 nights, can you imagine being without any heat? The fact that people don't have power right now in the middle of December is definitely, it's a concern from a health standpoint for a lot of people, elderly people, there's a ton of elderly people in these neighborhoods who certainly, are at risk. And, the one thing, not to make light of what we went through here in Nashville, but the blessing in disguise when that tornado hit March 3rd, we had people I know in East Nashville, in the hardest hit East Nashville areas, it was 2 weeks before they got their power on. But luckily they had mild weather. It was March. It was tolerable. You could get through the nights. It wasn't 22 degrees like it was, the last 2 nights. So I think that's the biggest immediate, issue right now is you just got a lot of people without power and don't have anywhere to go. And like I said, the scope of the destruction is pretty massive. And again, I can't stress enough about how the fact that it went through the corridors it went through. Those are major arteries in Bowling Green. Tons of commercial businesses, tons of restaurants, tons of small businesses as well. And, you really, when you think about that small business angle, how much, that's a backbone of a community like Bowling Green. A big employer, obviously a lot of people's livelihoods are tied into that. And, and they're just getting back. A lot of restaurants up there just now getting back on their feet because they were shut down way longer in Kentucky and then they were in Tennessee. So they were hanging on by a thread anyway. So you see these little small businesses who are already in trouble that were hoping to just, that this was going to be the holiday season was going to be a big one to get them through and get them rolling. And they're devastated now. And, they're going to be standing in line. And I'm sure for a lot of those small businesses, they're going to have to reconsider, do we even reopen at this point?
Yeah. Because let me ask, is your family okay?
Yeah. My family I was very fortunate. My mom's home is located off Scottsville Road, which is a little bit of ways from this, thankfully. And so she was spared. Her neighborhood was pretty much spared. My sister, on the other hand, is also okay. But honestly, Joe, it's a miracle. She lives right off 31W in a stretch for people that are familiar with Bowling Green. There's a new roundabout they built on Nashville Road that's right next to Western's campus. My sister literally lives across the street from that roundabout. Nashville Road is 31W that I mentioned earlier. So she literally lived one street over from the eye of the storm. The fact that her home is still standing is a miracle. I mean, you stand in her front yard and it looks like Armageddon. And so she was spared. I think we showed a picture earlier. She had a huge tree that went down. Luckily, it fell away from her home, but her neighbor's roof across the street is gone. And like I said, she was spared. She's safe. And luckily, my mom has a nice, larger home that she can stay at in the short term. And luckily, my mom got power back late Saturday night. So they're okay. So I've been really blessed. And I want to say that me speaking about what I've seen, I was lucky, but in regards to my immediate family, but also my parents own a business, a commercial property that was also one street over from 31W, literally just from the eye of the storm. They luckily, their building is still intact, but the road that they're building on is so impassable. It has so much damage that they can't even get in there to look and see what's going on. There was a gas leak. Their business property was literally one street over from the eye of it. And so we got a lot of picking up to do there. And they also have 2 rental properties that are behind that building. One of them has a tree through it right now. So
good Lord, man. We
got off the hook from a residential standpoint, but we have a commercial business property that's definitely going to be a challenge to get rebuilt. And so, but I'm very blessed and grateful that my family is safe. And I personally don't know anyone who was a victim of this so far. But they're at like 15 fatalities already, which is
Terrible,
insane.
terrible. Well, look, man, I know it's tough to talk about it because after you went through in March of 20 and now your family this weekend. I appreciate you, Jason, for coming on, sharing the pictures. And
My pleasure. Sorry about the technical
it's all
difficulties on
right,
the front end,
man.
Joe.
Yeah, it's all good. And just sharing a little bit of hope of what we're doing up there. So if you need anything, man, to get the word out, you got my number. Let me know. We'll continue helping you guys out. All right.
Absolutely. Take care, Joe. Thanks for your time.
All right, brother. Jason Carmon, who is from Bowling Green, his family. You just heard, you saw the pictures, everything that went on up there, and all the fatalities. Man, my heart just is broken. Just awful. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. More Mornings on Main Street after this.